Diversity is a term that represents the total variety of life living in the world or in a particular habitat. Thousands of different worlds habitat, millions of varied species, billions of different individuals, trillions of different characteristics they all have. The more biodiversity, the more secure all life on Earth is, including us. These living organisms work together in ecosystems in order to maintain and balance life. We need forests to block away carbon and keep the climate stable. We need billions of soil organisms to keep the food we eat supply. Our planet's biodiversity provides all the things we need for free, but it will only do so if there is a lot of it. 1.75 million species have been identified, but scientists believe that there are 13 billion species living on our planet. Recently, the level of loss in biodiversity have started causing global concern. There are many factors that cause the loss of biodiversity, but we want to talk and discuss about these three factors: habitat loss, pollution, and climate change.
Habitat loss or habitat destructions are caused by human activities. Habitat destructions by human activity is mainly because for the purpose of harvesting natural resources for industry, productions, and urbanization. It is a primary cause for species extinctions worldwide, which is also part of the factors that harm the biodiversity. For approximately 60 million square kilometers of tropical rainforest habitat that originally exists worldwide, less than 9 million square kilometers remain today. Farming and logging has severely distributed at least 94% of temperature broadleaf forests. Many old-growth forest stands have lost more than 98% of their previous area because of human activities.
10 to 20% of the world's drylands, which include temperate grassland, savannas, and shrublands, scrub and deciduous forests have been somewhat degraded. 1/5 of coral reefs have also been destroyed, and another 1/5 has been severely degraded by overfishing, population, and invasive species. The primary effect on habitat destruction is a reduction in biodiversity. When an animal loses its natural home or habitat that it needs to survive, its number declines rapidly, making it an endangered animal, and some move toward extinction. It is estimated at 14,000 to 35,000 species are at risk of becoming extinct, and habitat destruction is one of the main causes.
Pollution is a major threat to biodiversity and one of the difficult problems to overcome. Pollution is one of the biggest global killers, affecting over 100 million living organisms. There are many different types of pollution, such as air pollutions, water pollutions, and land pollutions.
When two common air pollutants, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide, combine with water in the atmosphere, it forms an weak acid. When it rains, this rain is acidic, or it's called acid rain. Acid rain is one of the consequences of humans polluting the air. This causes lake and water bodies to become more acidic, killing off fish, mollusks, amphibians, and many other species. Air pollution affects almost every one of us. The most common diseases caused by air pollution include ischemic heart disease, stroke, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, lung cancers, and acute lower respiratory infections in children.
Humans have found several ways to pollute all types of natural water bodies, all which are likely to have negative impact on biodiversity. Phosphorus and nitrogen in the fertilizer run off agriculture fields and pass into rivers. This surplus nutrient cause algae to bloom, which then starve other aquatic species of oxygen and light, causing them to die. This leads to a process known as eutrophication, where this excessive aquatic plant growth starts to have adverse effects. 54% of all lakes in Asia are now eutrophic. Water pollution and climate change can affect the sea levels.
Plastic is an amazing product due to the fact it can be molded into virtually any shape and doesn't break down for a very long time. But for this reason, once it gets into the environment as a form of pollution, it persists for an exceptionally long time, impacting wildlife. Groups of animals particularly vulnerable to plastics include turtles, particularly young individuals that consume the plastics and are then unable to regurgitate them, leading to internal injuries and often death. Agriculture chemicals pollute the land. Using organic fertilizer is more expensive than the chemical, so most farmers who grew loads of vegetations use chemical fertilizer. Seabirds are also particularly vulnerable. One study found 40% of Laysan albatross chicks were dying before fledging the nest. During the examination of the bodies after death, it was found the majority had consumed plastic waste. Plants growing in the ground poisoned by chemicals may become contaminated and survive, passing on the contamination to grazing animals, or the plants simply die off. Animals dependent on the plants for food may eat the contaminated plants and become ill and die off.
The last factor is climate change. Climate change are also called global warming. This refers to the rise in average surface temperature in the Earth. One of the major causes of climate change is us, human. A scientist says that about 95% chance that human activity is the main cause of climate change. Humans have been burning more and more fossil fuels for their own use. For example, burning oil, coal, natural gas, petroleum, and other, which release CO2. And most of these are from manufacturing, cars, airplanes, trucks, ships, and some are from our neighbor, airborne burning trashes.
The Earth's average temperature has gone up to 1.4 Fahrenheit or negative 17 Celsius over the past century and is expected to rise as much as 11.5 Fahrenheit or negative 11.39 Celsius over the next few years. The concentration of carbon dioxide, CO2, in our atmosphere as of May 2020 is the highest it has been in human history.
Carbon emissions caused by human activities are causing temperature change, which cause some population of the animals to migrate to areas that they would not normally inhabit, while directly causing numbers to decline. One of the important effects from climate change is the rising in sea level. The average sea level around the world rise about 20 centimeters in the past 100 years. The scientists expect that the sea level will rise more and more rapidly in the next 100 years. Some cities and countries will be underwater, and the world glaciers will help melt and disappear.
Numbers of lions in Africa has dropped by 65%. Number of flying insects in Europe has dropped by 75%. Number of bluefin tuna in the Pacific has dropped by 95%. 70,000 plant and tree species on Earth are used in medicine. 1 in 3 mammals are at risk of extinctions. 1 in 7 plants are at risk of extinctions.
Over the years, humans have been destroying our Earth day by day, which causing animals to go extinct. We cannot get rid of these factors permanently, which caused by human activities, but we can prevent from harming our living beings by doing things that we can do. Every people in the world can help each other to reduce the factor that affect biodiversity by trying to things that they can.
Like reducing pollution by stop burning fossil fuels, Ride bicycle, electric cars, or bike to school or workplace. Turn off light when it is not in use. Reduce, reuse, and recycle any waste. Reducing deforestation by plant more trees. Stop cutting down trees. Use less paper and recycle papers and cardboard. Phasing out the fossil fuels and replacing them with renewable sources to slow down the global warming.